So thank you everybody for coming out. My name's Daniel Kogan. Still same name I've always had, so it's great. I'm a group program manager in SharePoint in Redmond. My team owns all of the SharePoint developer platform. And so in this context, it's primarily the new SharePoint framework. We'll talk about a bunch of other stuff, but that's really what it's about. And as the title says, really what we're going to spend the better part of the hour is talking about what's new and what's coming. And I want to be really clear about the definition of what's coming. So in our team, we made a decision that what we're going to talk about here at Ignite this year is everything up to the end of this calendar year. So if I say it's coming soon, by definition, it's by the end of the year, right? I'm not talking about next year. It's not, fairy tales and someday we'll do that. In fact, I've made a deliberate point to not talk about anything past the year so you guys can have a pretty solid, sort of high confidence level that things I talk about are coming in the next, 2.5 months kind of thing. So with that, we're going to talk about SharePoint in the enterprise. We're going to talk about what we've done since the last time we talked. The last time we talked was another intimate session like this of 1,500 people at Ignite last year. What's new and what's coming. The goals that I have, hopefully match the goals that you have, but we'll see, is really for you folks to be able to learn what's available today. So what's in the product now. Discover the possibilities. What are you going to be able to do with it? So lots of great features. What do they mean? How do I use them? And then really get you guys as excited as we are. And I mean that in all sincerity. Like, the team is super excited about what we've been able to do over the last year and a half. And I want that to reflect from us to you, because I want you guys to go home and be our biggest champions. I mean, that's just the way this works, right? I want you guys to feel confident and comfortable going back to your businesses, to your enterprises, to your partners and saying, hey, this SharePoint thing, this SPFX thing, that's what we want to do. So that's really what I want out of this session for you guys. So let's talk a little bit about SharePoint in the enterprise. You've probably seen these numbers already at some point today if you've been in the SharePoint sessions. These aren't uniquely SharePoint framework. These are really about the cloud, Microsoft in the cloud, and SharePoint and O365 and all up. But the reason I think this is important is really the cloud has arrived, right? The numbers speak for themselves. And for those of you who have been sort of wondering, is it time? Should I do it? When am I going? It's time. And the technology that we've adopted and the frameworks that we've adopted and that we're asking you guys to use, it's time. So you're going to keep hearing me keep repeating that, because if you get nothing else out of this hour, is I want you to go home and say, it's time. Okay? So what do we do with SharePoint? What do people use SharePoint for? Clearly everybody has an intranet. Clearly everybody has a document library. But there are sort of very specific scenarios that we think about when we say we want to build it with SharePoint. So there are site experiences. And this is really about extending things in your team sites and your communication sites. And hopefully these words aren't new to you. You've been in the last 3 sessions over the last day, so you understand team sites, communication sites. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there. Tons of seating over here, guys. There's a bunch over there. Sorry, I'm flight attendant and entertainment all at the same time. Buckle up. So, site experience, it's going to be a fast ride. Integration, right? A lot of what people are doing, a lot of what people need is building integration, and we look at SharePoint as being an important part of that tool set. So there are tools around how you build, but SharePoint itself, we look at as delivering the data, delivering a bunch of services that you require when you want to build your applications. And so SharePoint is an integral part in your enterprise of how you build applications. Process and workflow. You've probably seen a lot of the well, Jeff in the keynote this morning, a lot of the sessions around how we use Flow and so on. So those are other ways that people build on SharePoint, or SharePoint being part of what they build, using Flow and other things. And clearly, business applications and custom apps. And that's sort of the bulk of what we're going to talk about, mostly around the tools and the frameworks and the things that we're delivering or have delivered in that space. So SharePoint in the enterprise as a development platform, we break it up into a couple of different areas. The user experiences, data and APIs, processes, and the packaging, deployment, and store. Okay? There are way too many topics to have in a single hour. Plus, I'll be completely honest, I couldn't speak to all of these if you asked me to. There's just way too much technology. The parts that we care most about and the parts that my team works on are really these sort of top layers. So the SharePoint framework, which is a new client-side JavaScript framework for how we build new, interesting, dynamic, responsive by design UI. The API, our integration with the Graph API that will allow you to get interesting business data, do all sorts of relational things where I want to see my things that someone else is also connected to, and so on. If you guys want to learn about the graph, there's a bunch of great sessions, and I'll point you to them afterwards. Webhooks that allow us to do a lot of, well, webhooks. You guys know what webhooks are. All right, so we delivered the webhooks sometime last year for SharePoint. I don't remember the exact date, so it's not new news. And then basically the SPFX client-side solutions, which we deliver for the tooling around how we deliver those solutions and deployment and so on, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not sure, this is a great slide around what SharePoint is. I don't need to convince anybody in this room, I think, about what SharePoint is. But I do want to call out the fact that, we always talk about what it delivers, and, oh, you can do more. You can extend. You can do more. Well, that's the part that, for me, is the most interesting, and I hope for you folks as well. So the extend and develop is really about the new SharePoint framework. So the SharePoint framework is this new client-side development tool. It allows you to build lightweight mobile things. So I mentioned earlier, things that use the framework and follow the rules are responsive by design. So you build it, you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your desktop. Industry-leading client-side solutions for both on-premise and in the cloud. And this is going to be an important theme for the rest of the hour, on-premise and in the cloud. The backwards compatibility, first and third party. That's, if you've ever heard me speak on this topic, that's an important part of our mantra. We were very deliberate about a year and a half, 2 years ago, about making a decision that says, we're going to do things the way we ask you to do things. And it sounds like, yeah, so what, right? But it didn't used to be that way, right? We used to do things, and then when you wanted to do something, say, I want to do that thing you did, and we'd say, oh, well, yeah, but that's us, and those are internal, and sorry. So that was a problem for you, but it was also a problem for us. We weren't able to actually understand and feel the pain that you guys were feeling, right? We would say like, oh, it works great the way we do it. And you guys would say to us, well, but we can't do it the way you do it. So it's super important for us to sort of stick to this. And wherever possible, I'll be honest, it's not 100%. It just can't be 100% because we have a massive service. We deploy to every tenant. You guys deploy to your tenant or to a few tenants. So there are differences. But in general, wherever possible, we're pretty deliberate about first and third party being the same. Backwards compatible components. We've been very deliberate about making sure that when you go and do something in our new framework, it will run on your classic pages, right? That was an important part of the strategy for us to be able to say, why would someone who's not ready today to move forward to the cloud or isn't about to go to the modern experience, why would they build in this framework? Well, the reason would be you can build it once, use it today in what you have on your classic pages, and over time, as you move either to the modern experiences on-prem someday in the future, or when you move to the cloud, that work can be reused. And so that's an important part of the strategy. And then the open source tooling that you see on the side there. Again, we were very deliberate about saying we don't want to go and pick a bunch of tools that are proprietary or build a bunch of tools that are proprietary, and then, a year from now, the latest and greatest new version of something else comes out and everybody asks for it, and sorry, we didn't have. So we were very conscious about, let's stick with some open source tools. Let's not be very prescriptive about them, although there are places where we are, and I'll call those out in a few minutes. But in general, we said, we're going to try our best to be open source with the tooling and to let things evolve as a community, as the industry changes, we will be changing. And magic button, there we go. So let's talk a little bit about the tools. I think about half the room, although the room filled up since I asked the question, so let me ask one more time. Who's building today with SharePoint Framework? Okay, the other half I'm going to assume not. So I'm going to quickly walk through this. This shouldn't be new for most of you, but it's an important thing to sort of keep in mind what we mean when we talk about the tool chain and the open source. So the first step that you do is you're going to install the new SharePoint Yeoman generator. That is the scaffolding. If you haven't used Yeoman generator before, welcome to the new world. You will be using that going forward. What it does is it builds out the project scaffolding for you so that you can then go and build inside that. You use tools of choice, Visual Studio Code. There's a community-driven project around Visual Studio integration if you want to go play with that. Write your project, then you're using Gulp. Gulp is going to allow you to build the packages up, to deploy them. Before you actually deploy, we have this great thing that we call the workbench. The workbench is the ability to actually test your client-side code without having a connection to the server. So if you are building a web part and you don't want to deploy it into production because it's not ready, because that's why you're testing it, then you probably want to use the workbench. Now there's some caveats, and we'll talk about that when it comes to some of the newer things. Not everything works in the workbench today. I have aspirations of someday being able to stand here and say, you can do it all in the workbench, but we're not there just yet, and I'll show you some of the places where that's a problem. So you work through the workbench, you iterate. Once you've iterated, you actually create the packages, you deploy the packages. The interesting thing is that when you build the packages, our Yeoman generator and Gulp actually will be able to produce the necessary packages. So one will be deployed out to the CDN, and the other one you will install as an app into the app catalog, and that's how you get your new client-side application, client-side web part or extension deployed. And then, well, CDN and then ship it. So easy enough. There's a couple of steps, but if you haven't done it, there's some great labs that we have online. The community's done a bunch of great stuff. I highly recommend you go and pick up those labs, figure it out. I would think that in an afternoon, a good developer should be able to get through this. Now, a lot of people say, and they've been saying for the last year, this is different. I don't understand. It doesn't map to what I understand. It does, actually. It's just branding, just different names. It really does map. Okay? Every one of these things has something that maps to it that you probably understand if you're a classic SharePoint developer, server-side developer. So don't let the cool tech fool you. It's just another way of doing things you probably already understand. There are details. There's always details. There's always fine print. But the big scheme of things, it maps pretty easily, right? So we have Node. That's sort of your equivalent of your IIS server. Why do we need Node? It's not on our servers, it's on your dev machine, right? So you as a developer will have Node. The NPM packages is a place you're gonna go and get your greatest and latest downloads from us so that you have the versions of the frameworks that you need. Gulp, equivalent to your MS build. Here's an interesting one, TypeScript. People, oh, TypeScript, TypeScript, I don't like TypeScript, I don't wanna use TypeScript. We've heard this, we heard it, I don't know, the first 5, 6, 8 months of when we deployed. I'll be honest, once people started playing, it was like, okay, fine, it's TypeScript. I might have not wanted to learn I learned TypeScript. It's not such a big hurdle, and I really encourage you guys, if for some reason that feels like a blocker for you or your teams, just jump in, embrace it. It's not going to be a big hurdle. The Yeoman generator I talked about, and Visual Studio Code. So that is our quick primer on what the framework is, because I really want to get into sort of what's new and what's coming. We've had a crazy busy year. So this is from just before last Ignite to just before this Ignite. So this is none of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today. This is all the stuff that we did up until about a month ago. We went through a pretty fast-paced process of, dreaming up this new framework, validating it with our MVPs and our large customers in the community, making sure we weren't completely insane, then going out and doing it, then getting feedback on the parts that we didn't quite get right, then going back and redoing it, then shipping it, then getting feedback. So now we got feedback on what we shipped, and now we have to go respond to that feedback. So there are a lot of moving parts to what we shipped. I talked about a few of these in the previous slides. Really, the important message here is the SharePoint framework, I think, is now de facto the way you want to build in SharePoint. Like there are very few reasons I can imagine why you would want to go and do something else. I'm not going to stand here and claim there's no valid reason why you wouldn't want to do server-side. I'm sure we could dream of some, but I'd love to hear what they are, because if I can't satisfy them yet, we're going to go find a way at some point to help you do that in the modern framework. We're not there yet, but we will be. So we build the framework, and then we ask our own teams inside Microsoft to use it. So the things that you've seen today at some of the other talks from our team from SharePoint are built on the framework. If you saw Jeff's keynote this morning, they showed team sites, they showed communication sites, they showed hubs. Those are all things that are built on top of the framework that we build. So this isn't just a sort of new version 1 thing that maybe someday will catch on. This is the way we're running our business. This is what we're asking you to do, because this is what we're doing. Okay, so hopefully, I can't be more subtle than that. Okay. We build our authoring experience on top of the framework, right? So the authoring experience, who's created a new modern page, right? Super cool, super sexy, super easy. That was built on top of our framework. So, the WYSIWYG authoring, the multi-column, all of that stuff we can do because it's all client-side now. Like, that was just really, really hard for us to do in the past. Never mind trying to maintain it, never mind trying to update it at some future point. So, authoring built on the framework. Modern toolbox. If you've done authoring, you've played it with the modern toolbox. Anybody? Yes, everybody, obviously, if you've done authoring. So we have a new large toolbox. You probably saw it. So one caveat. Jeff stole my thunder this morning. Who was at Jeff's session? Everybody was at Jeff's session? Okay, so the 4 of you that weren't, this will be new. We have this new, cool, large toolbox. Why does this matter? Well, the large toolbox, first of all, is a recognition that we have lots of web parts now. We had a brilliant plan to build a beautiful large toolbox with search, and we had 6 web parts. And that felt awkward, right? Because we were going to put this. So we put it aside and said, we'll come back to large toolbox later. So we now have this large toolbox. We have lots of web parts that justify a large toolbox. You can organize them now in groups. You can organize them alpha, so you can sort them by name. I don't know if you've seen the fact now, though, that it includes connectors. So if you have Office connectors, we are now going through the process of getting the connectors that we think make sense, because they don't all make sense in SharePoint context, but we're going through, we're taking the connectors, we're making connectors and putting them in your toolbox. So as an end user, you're just going to be able to go to the toolbox, and rather than dragging an image web part, you're going to be able to go and grab, I don't know, what do we have there? The TripIt connector. Put it on your page. Okay? More interesting, and maybe a little bit subtle on this page, but if you look at the bottom left corner, that's not a connector. That's an add-in. And so we've done work now so that when you have an add-in, the add-ins will also appear in the toolbox so that you can take the add-in and drop it on the page directly from the toolbox. Now, there's a caveat. It will look and feel like whatever that add-in looks and feels like. We do no magic to it, right? So in some cases, you're gonna have to make a decision whether it's appropriate to have the add-in in your toolbox because it might just look bizarre on your page. But the point being, excuse me, we're being very deliberate about A, bringing the add-ins forward. This is a recognition that add-ins will be here, they will always be here, they're gonna stay here. Now we have work to do to work on the tech and make the experiences better, but we are by no means leaving add-ins behind. So the fact that we're putting add-ins in the toolbox is a bit of a hint that there's work going on in there and that experience will get better. So I think that's cool. All the feedback we get about add-ins, aren't you guys excited? Yes? No? Whew, you guys, it's a tough crowd today. Add-ins, okay. Next. Admin Center, who saw the Admin Center today and just built on top of SPFX framework? Okay, you getting the point? I'm not going to spend too much time on the Admin Center. I'm sure there are lots of sessions about that, but it's built on our framework. The cool thing about my session is I get to take credit for everything everybody else does because they built it on our framework. Partners are doing a bunch of cool work. So we have a site where we showcase web parts that our partners have built. So if you're interested in seeing what people are doing, it's still early days, I will admit. There's a few dozen there, but we're just cranking, starting to get things rolling. So there's a website there with partners that have built websites, web parts, excuse me. We've also built a lot of momentum. I can say I'm really proud of the fact that not only we've taken a bet, meaning Microsoft internally, our other parts of our product group have taken a bet on our framework, our partners have as well. And I'm just going to highlight three. There are many out there, but we have a couple of partners that have really sort of been there since sort of day one. Valo, they build an intranet product. They've built their product on top of top of our framework, excuse me. Palo 365, same thing from sort of day one. When we got out there with a beta version, they were on board building on top of our framework. And we have training courses from Andrew, who's there. Okay, so my point being, there's a lot of momentum. We have partners building on top of it. We have people betting their businesses on it. This is here to stay. So last year, everyone was like, oh, it's a new thing. We'll wait and see. If you sort of sat around for a year waiting on the sidelines to see what would happen, time to get on board. This is where we're going. We're going to make SPFX the biggest thing. This is the way we're going to build stuff in the cloud, in the service for SharePoint. So, things have been asked. In the last year, I keep hearing like, oh, but it's a public CDN. I don't trust a public CDN. Two things. I don't think people quite understand what a public CDN is. We can have that conversation another time. But more importantly, we also have a private CDN. And you will actually need to make a decision what content, what parts of your site you want in the public CDN versus you want in a private CDN. And frankly, if none of that is interesting to you because you have some other requirements and your Microsoft CDN isn't good enough, you can use your own CDN, right? So the CDN conversation, I hope we can put to rest. We have public and private CDNs, clearly advantages, disadvantages, public versus private, but some are a little bit slower than the other. The important part, though, is CDNs have to be a part of your strategy. Okay, if you guys are building modern SharePoint experiences in the cloud, CDN has to be part of your strategy. We had meetings with a couple of customers over the last few days. They say, oh, we're not as performant as we wish we were. And we said, are you using a CDN? No. Say, well, we'll talk to you later. Okay, like, please go do that work, like, honestly. Okay. GitHub, open source in the enterprise, really? Yes. Welcome to web technology. That is just, you know, we're doing our best to make it so that it's comfortable. We're not making our own stuff all open source because we recognize that in the enterprise there are people saying, no, we really want this to come from Microsoft. We don't really know what's happening out there in GitHub. That's fine, but there are just parts that are going to be in GitHub. They're going to move fast in GitHub. You're going to get the community value from it. And so we're embracing this. We're being cognizant of people's concerns, and we're going to sort of move slowly, but this is where we're going. I sort of addressed this earlier. People are like, TypeScript, really? Yes, really. Like, I'm not even going to, last year we kind of couched it a little bit and said, well, it'll be okay. No, it is. Just embrace it. Frameworks. This one's more delicate. Okay, which framework? You saw earlier I had a React logo up there, and everybody's, oh, do I have to use React? No, you don't. We use React. Now, that also implies that if we use React, there are efficiencies if you choose to use React, right? Because why do you want to load two frameworks on a page? That said, if you already have things that are built using a different framework, I'm not asking you to go rewrite it, right? So there are times or places where it's appropriate to have two frameworks running on your page. If you find yourself in a situation where you have 8 web parts from 8 vendors using 8 different frameworks, and none of them are React, and so now you have 9, you have a problem. Like, really, that's not going to be a good model. So you need to be aware, you need to be sort of deliberate about the framework conversation, but we're not pushing you to use React. You can use whatever you want, but I would ask you to pick one. Okay? Do not get a collection of web parts with infinite frameworks. That's just going to get crazy. I keep getting asked about the deployment story, acquisition, and store. So I will be honest in this one. Of all the things, all the rude Q&A that I've received all year, this is the one I'm still working on. So I don't have a good answer in the sense that I have a plan. We're going to make improvements. We're not ready to share them yet. And so this one's going to be TBD. Okay, that said, we get tons of really good feedback over the year. What happens if I'm on-prem, right? For the last year, we've been talking about the cloud and the new SharePoint framework in the service, and people are like, well, that's great, but what about me? So we'll address this. We shipped a bunch of modern experiences as part of the SharePoint UI upgrade. Libraries was sort of the notorious one because that went out first, and people said, yeah, but what about our custom code? Like, good point. We heard that feedback loud and clear. We're going to address this in the next few minutes. We want it to be flexible, but don't break me. Right? That's everybody. I want to do whatever I want to do, but I want you to make, you, Mr. Microsoft, not to break my pages for me. Yeah, okay. We'll address that too. You're asking me to learn a bunch of stuff, make it worth my time. And this one, I think, is the easiest one of all these to address. We've been very deliberate about making sure that if you invest in the framework on-prem, you can reuse that code in the cloud. We're making sure that the tools that we ask you to use are industry standard tools. We're not pushing people. Yes, there is learning. There will be learning. If you're in this business, you should accept that there's learning. But we're not asking you to learn some crazy proprietary thing that we invented. We're asking you to get on board with the industry standard tools, use those tools, and so I feel like it's a good bet for you to make. Okay, so this is the part of my session that I just get to sort of rip off everybody else's work and take credit for it. We've had an incredibly busy 5-6 months. We've been working with our MVP community. We've been working with a lot of customers in our dev kitchens. We're feeling really good about where we're at. And so I have a bunch of things that are releasing, about to release, releasing soon, and I'll talk to all of them. But let's start with Feature Pack 2. So Feature Pack 2 for on-prem is really the first step of getting this new SharePoint development model to your on-prem environment. I think it's a super important step. As I said earlier, it's really the way for you guys that are on-prem to be able to start making a decision about adopting new technology. If you're on-prem, you should be building your next web part using SPFX. Now, can you do everything? No, right? I needed to get my on-prem bits stable, I don't know, how long ago, Russ? 5 months ago? About 5 months ago, in order to be able to ship on-prem, right? And so in the last 5 months, my engineering team has been incredibly busy doing other things. That stuff didn't make it on-prem. That is a model that will continue forever, right? Like on-prem and in the cloud, we will always endeavor to give you as much value as we can on-prem, but we will never promise that you will be at parity or at the same time, because there's just a lag that's impossible for us to fix. So you don't get everything that we can do today in the cloud, but you will over time get more and more of this functionality on-prem. So what do you get today? We ship the framework. The framework allows you to build modern web parts and run them on classic pages, right? I mentioned earlier that this technology is backwards compatible, and by backwards, no offense to classic pages, but they're backwards in this column. Okay, so you can take those web parts and you can run them on classic pages. Important, big deal. I want you guys to sort of understand that when you go home and start thinking about the next bit of development. That released, okay? That's already out the door. So if you didn't realize that Feature Pack 2 had released, then start paying attention. No, okay. We got that out the door, I don't know, about a month ago? A couple weeks back. Okay. So the interesting thing was, again, because we have this lag time with on-prem, we needed to get the on-prem bits out the door. And so we have the feature pack that has the SharePoint framework. Anybody actually tried to build a modern web part with Feature Pack 2 on-prem? Anybody? 2 people? Okay. The rest of you should adopt the framework. Okay. So the one caveat is, yes, it's there, but it's using a version of the framework that is behind the version of the framework that we have in the cloud. Not a problem, as long as you know, as long as you could figure out which framework you needed, and as long as you knew how to build your project with the right framework, it was not a problem. That said, the new Yeoman generator that GA's today, okay, that new generator is actually aware of both on-prem and cloud project types. So now when you use the generator and it'll ask you, is this on-prem, is this in the cloud? Depending on what you answer, we will make a decision as to which version of the framework you're gonna get, and therefore it'll be available packaged correctly so that you don't have to understand. There is a caveat. As I said before, on-prem will always be slightly behind the cloud. So if you say on-prem, we will give you a later, which way does that go? Older, thank you, that's the right word I'm looking for. We'll give you an older version of the framework because that's the one that we're supporting on-prem. The good news is that web part with the older framework will work in the cloud, right? So you can build on-prem, it will work in the cloud. The reverse is not true. If you say you want a cloud version of your web part, it's unlikely that all the functionality will work on-prem because you have the wrong version of the framework on-prem, okay? But the good news is we're very aware of this. We've taken this first step to make the generator understand, and we're gonna make it our responsibility to take this burden away from you guys. You guys answer the question, we'll figure out what version of the framework you need in your project, okay? I think that's a big, big deal for making life a lot simpler for people. Tenant-wide deployment. We've heard this feedback many, many, many times. I have a web part. I'd like to put it in all my sites. I said, well, go ahead. And they said, well, you don't understand. I have 10,000 sites. It's like, oh, well, that's a problem. Start clicking. Okay, that used to be the answer. No more, okay? Now, what we do is we have a feature that as long as the developer, when they build a web part, make the choice that this should be deployable across all site collections in the tenant, then on upload, the admin that's putting that in the app catalog will be able to say yes or no. So the developer says, this thing should be deployable. The admin makes a decision whether they're really gonna do it or not. And the reason that's important is, if you see some restrictions apply, mileage may vary, we do not do provisioning alongside. Because you could imagine what happens. I have a web part that requires a backing list. I have 10,000 sites. I hit deploy everywhere, and suddenly I'm provisioning 10,000 lists across 10,000. That's not good. So if your web part is self-contained enough that it can deploy across 10,000 sites or whatever random number, then the admin can say yes. So there are some restrictions, but I think this is a huge advancement. It's really, really, really straightforward, but let me see if... Okay. This is, although the most powerful, actually let's do this one. The most powerful and yet the most boring demo ever. Check this out. I'm going to redeploy this in my app catalog. And there it is. It just has a checkbox. It says, should we deploy this everywhere? Yes or no? Right? So on some sides, I think, well, wow, that's boring. On the other side, it's like, well, that's great, right? It's so boring, it's like super easy. But that's really all it is. Because the developer made the decision in the project, and therefore there's a flag in the manifest, we will see it and it'll say, this is deployable. Now the admin at upload time to the app catalog can decide whether they want to do it or not. Okay? Pretty simple. So, let's see who's been paying attention. Any predictions? Has that released? Releasing? Released! Thank you. Okay. Some people are paying attention. Oh, I just did that. So a quick demo. It was so quick. Okay. SharePoint extensions. I think this is probably the biggest thing that people really want to talk about and want to hear. So, in my feedback that we received, I mentioned people said, well, but we want to have custom code, and how do I do that? And our initial reaction is, well, we don't really want you to do that, because every time you do custom code, in a script editor web part, A, we have no idea what you're doing, and B, chances are at some future date we will break you, and you don't like it when we break you, and we don't like it when we don't know what your code is doing because it's scary. So it just wasn't a good thing for us. So as a way to sort of deal with that feedback of, yes, that's great that you guys are modern, it's great that you have new features, I still need to write some custom code. We have this new model. We refer to it as SharePoint Framework Extensions. The easiest way for you to think about this, and there are some caveats, and I have developers and people far more technical than me in the front row that will probably throw things at me in a second. Think of these as web parts, right? The tool chain is the same, the process is effectively the same, you're going to build it and you're going to upload it to the catalog effectively the same way. The difference is these things aren't added to a page by the end user. These are things that are added to a site, right? So I have an extension, we have what we call an application customizer, and I'll show you an example of that in a second. A good, but not the only example of an application customizer might be a footer. I have a footer at the bottom of my page. It needs to have some business logic. How do I get that on all my pages? A footer extension. A command set, I'd like to add a button to the drop-down menu to the right click on document library items. How do I do that? We have a command set extension. Field customizer. I would like my fields to render differently because of whatever random business logic I can dream up. How do I do that? Field customizer. So we have these three strongly typed extensions. We believe they're going to satisfy the bulk of your scenarios, but we are open to making more extension types as we understand the need for them, right? So we didn't want to go and try and come up with 45 extension types and be very narrow and prescriptive on how they're used. They're kind of generic. Application customizer, command set, field customizer. We think that most people will get most of what they need from that, but we acknowledge that at some point there'll probably be more of these we need to figure out. We're going to wait and hear from you folks. So, released, right? You guys knew that, I should have asked, but you knew that because Jeff stole my thunder this morning, okay? This has been in preview for the last, 4 months or so, and we GA'd yesterday. I wanted to be able to say we're GAing today, but apparently there's some mechanics where if we didn't press the button yesterday, I wasn't going to be able to honestly claim it today. So anyway, that's just the way it works. So let's do a quick extensions demo, because I think this is sort of the part that people are most interested in. Did I time out here? Is that what's, why is my browser complaining? Okay, the first demo is just a very simple command set demo. So here I'm looking at a document library, and I'm going to select a document, and you can see that when I do this drop down, oh, come on page, let's make sure it's working. Okay, I use this drop down. I can now say discuss now. This is a business process that one of our PMs decided to add to this library. All they've done is, when I click this, it's actually going to open up a dialog, it's going to create a meeting request, and it's going to invite everybody that's in the group. Now, the business logic is irrelevant. The point is, we have custom code running behind a right mouse click on that item in that library, and it understands the item we're talking about, it understands who's a member of the group, and so on. If you want to learn how to actually build this, this is one of the examples that Luca, raise your hand, Luca, there you go. Luca is going to be doing in his session on Thursday, where they're actually going to walk you through how to build this application customize, this command set, excuse me. Simple example, but again, I think it's just a good illustration of the kinds of things that you're going to be able to do with a command set. Another simple example, here we're looking at an authoring page. The authoring page, nothing special, except for you might notice that down here at the bottom of the page, my page has a footer. So remember I said we have the notion of an application customizer. A good example, although not the only one, but a good example is a footer. In this case, I'm going to switch to edit mode on my page. A couple of cool things just happened. The application customizer was aware of the fact that I was in read mode versus edit mode. So now it's behaving differently because I'm in read mode. I'm in edit mode. When I'm in edit mode, I can actually go and tag this page, and I'm going to be able to go in and say, this page is about Sweden. And oh, look at that. It recognizes Sweden from the term set, right? So we have a term store that this is connected to. So you can start to see how we're starting to bring in business logic and other parts of the system. So we're going to tag it as Sweden. We're going to say OK. And then I'm going to publish. And now look what it did. Because Sweden is part of Europe, it looked at the term store and it said, OK, well, this page rolls up to Europe. And the regional manager for our tours in Europe is Bill. And this is Bill's email. And here's a Yammer group that we point you to if you want to have conversations about tours in Europe, right? So super straightforward example of saying, how do I put business logic at the bottom of my page? I can go and do something with a bunch of back-end systems. It's looking at the term store. We had some custom properties in the term store that point you to the right Yammer group, and you're going to be able to jump out to that. We figure out who the right user is, the manager for this region, and so on. So again, this example, if you want to understand how it was built and the details of how to do this, Luca, you're going to go through this one as well? Yep. So they're going to dissect this example Thursday morning. Okay. So that was my quick and dirty extensions. Cool? How many people think they're going to start building extensions? Perfect. That's what I want to see. Even if it was forced, it's still okay. We got a bunch of feedback that said, all these extensions and web parts, it's all great. But we have this problem that often I need to be able to get some name value pair, or I need to be able to get some property, and you guys don't give me a good place to put them. And so I need to go figure out some external store, or I need to figure out some magic on how to hold that key and its name value pair key so that I can use it during the process. It got to the point where we heard this so many times that we said, okay, this is actually quite straightforward for us. And so we build what we now call tenant properties. So tenant properties is a global property bag at the tenant level that your SPFX code, your web parts, your extensions, other components in the future will be able to interact with. And so you can actually go to the store, to the repository, get whatever value you need and continue. Those values are managed by your tenant admin, so you can put whatever you want there. Well, I say that within quotes, whatever. You can put name value pairs there for now. Shipping soon, anybody? First release today, okay? If you're a first release tenant, you should start seeing this. It starts rolling as of this morning. So if you're a first release tenant, you should be able to start playing with these properties when you go home. We'd love to hear the feedback. So first release is still ample opportunity for us to make tweaks if needed. If we've done something not quite right, if you wish we would have done it completely different, whatever, let us know. Please go play with it. Give me some feedback. Announcements coming soon. So this time, I'm not going to play games about did it ship, did it not ship, because I want to be really, really, really clear. This is not shipped. This is coming soon. Okay? And I don't want anybody to get confused. The coming soon label, as I said earlier, is we will ship before the end of the year. Let me try that again. We will do our damnedest to ship before the end of the year. We will try really, really hard to ship before the end of the year because my engineering director is right here and we're going to do our best to ship before the end of the year. No, in all honesty, we were pretty conservative about the things that I'm going to go and show you guys. There's tons more that we're working on, tons more in the backlog, tons more in the new year. We didn't want to promise and disappoint, so I only picked a few of sort of the highlights. I feel pretty good about the stuff that's on the list that you should be expecting over the next, it's 3 months, but Christmas doesn't count, so it's like 8 weeks. Yeah. Christmas is apparently not a developer month. Developers have 11 months a year, I've been told. Okay, Russ is going, I don't know about that. So, Office Fabric UI Core. This is an important thing. A lot of people asked us for it. If you remember earlier, we talked about React. We use React. We have Fabric React. That's the way we do it. That's the way we expected people to do it. We were told, hey, but you told us you're not forcing us to use React. We could use something else. Good point. So if you use something else, how do we make it look and feel like your stuff? Okay. So this is the work that we're doing. We will get you Fabric Core. So it's not exactly the same as what we have for the Fabric React, but I think it's going to go a long way to make sure that you guys can make things in your preferred framework to look and feel like the rest of the suite. Coming soon. There should be no secrets. Everything here is coming soon now. There's no more shipped. The configure web APIs for permission scope access. So this is actually one of the biggest assets we've got, and this is a big part of the session on Thursday. So if you're interested, I highly recommend the session Thursday at 12:30. Okay? I don't know what room number it is, but I'm sure you'll find it. So here's the thing. Today in the service, you get the scopes that we've configured. And a lot of people said, well, yeah, but. And we said, well, but that's what you get. And we got pushed pretty hard, I'll admit, right? And so what we're doing now is we're saying, you will be able to configure your own scopes so that you get those that are configured by default by us in the service, plus whatever things you need to do for your own business scenario. This is going to be, I think, really important. A lot of people have been giving us pretty good feedback. Clearly, they haven't played with it yet, but conceptually, we think we have the right model, and we're pretty excited about it. Similarly, web APIs, to make sure that you can register so that you can now do things with your own internal systems I put a simple example of your corporate CRM system, but you can imagine whatever, right? These, I think, will really open up the ability for you guys to go and build things that deeply integrate with your enterprise systems. So I think this is huge work that Luca and the engineering team have been working on, so I'm super excited about this. So hopefully, Wes, this will make you happy. Yeah, there you go, okay. Coming soon. So this is like the easiest talk ever. I just get to say good news, good news, good news, good news. Application lifecycle management APIs. Again, reacting to feedback. So hopefully now you're incentivized to give us feedback because you see that we take feedback and go back and do work. The real question that we got was, how do I deploy stuff? Like, how does this work? How do I go and actually move things and programmatically deploy things? And so you can now programmatically go and deploy a web part, for example, at a target site, right? Earlier I said deploy everywhere, and that's great. I have my web part, I want it on all 10,000 sites or site collections. Easy, big button, done. But there are two problems. One is, I gave you the caveat earlier that as long as there's no provisioning required, you can use the big button. This way, programmatically, you're going to be able to deploy and then do post-provisioning of whatever artifacts you need if it requires a special backing list or whatever. So that's an important scenario that this satisfies. And then the other is, what if I want to programmatically deploy, but not everywhere? So I have a web part that should only be deployed to, I don't know, the finance, HR, and legal intranet portals. How do I target just those? Now, it's 3. Maybe the easiest thing would be just go and apply it to 3. But imagine that I had 300 of 10,000. Now, yes, it's a small percentage, but it's a big enough number that you're going to be clicking for a long time. This is the way you would go and do that. So making sure that you can do programmatic deployment, big ask, coming soon. I would have expected excitement there, but okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. There's still big stuff coming. We're not running out of stuff yet. Asset packaging. So again, if you've been playing with the framework, you get a package that includes the web part or includes the extension. And a lot of times those require other assets to come along with it. And so now we allow you to actually do the asset packaging. So when you build your package using the tool chain that we went through earlier, you will be able to include your JavaScript and CSS and all your images and whatever. And then we will actually do the smart thing and put the correct components out in the CDN where appropriate so that you don't have to worry about deploying all these things. Again, it seems small, but I believe that this is going to be a huge step forward to helping you guys rolling stuff out to your customers and your enterprises. Yeah. Coming soon. There you go. Thank you. Whew. Beer later. Okay. The other big thing, site collection app catalog. Thank you. You know, it sounds like exactly what it is. It's just not that exciting in its name, but it's super important. We get it. People said to us, what happens when I put something in my tenant app catalog, but I don't want you and you to use it? Well, it's there. They could use it. So now you can actually have sort of a self-service model where you say, look, you can have your own app catalog, and the tenant admin has to approve it. It's not just a random thing that anybody can go and do. But if you have permission to have your own local catalog, then you can put things in that site collections app catalog that people in that site can go and add to their sites and their pages and so on. So this is a delegation model, as it were. This is a way to constrain use across different parts of the company. This is, I think, a huge step forward in the way we imagine people deploying things in the enterprise. I think when you see these sort of many, many small things, when you add them up, it really hopefully reflects that we're taking this seriously as large enterprise deployments, we recognize that they're complicated, and so we're trying to find maybe not sexy things, but super important little bits to help you guys along. So, coming soon. Key takeaways. I have no idea if I'm on time or off time. I don't know. What time does this session end? 5. Okay, well, we're doing well. Okay, key takeaways. If nothing else, I want you guys to go home and recognize that the SharePoint framework is really building and offering great, bold, new features on-prem, not just in the cloud, okay, and allowing you to do custom code, which wasn't really something that was very obvious when we started coming out with these modern experiences. So we embrace both the on-prem thing, we're all in there, and we're embracing custom code. We're finding ways to unblock you there. And as I said just a minute ago, we're really looking to find ways to help you guys be more efficient, right? Some of these things, they're not the greatest demos, right? They're not the thing that you're gonna go and show off to your end user because they're not gonna get it. But for you guys, I think being able to have, site collection app catalog, being able to have the tenant properties, being able to have the bundling of the asset packaging, so all of these small things, when they come together, I think we've just taken the developer experience a good big step forward over the last year. So, recap of what's shipped, but more importantly, I do want to actually leave time for Q&A. I think there's going to be a bunch of people that have questions. I have folks up here that are smarter than me and can probably answer things I can't answer. So please step up to the mics. If you're going to run away, don't run away. Don't run away. Don't run away. Okay, if you're going to run away, make sure you give me eval afterwards. We really want the feedback, guys. It's an important part of sort of putting these things on for you guys, is making sure that we're delivering the content you want. So if you're running away, it better be because you're going to go give feedback. Everybody else, feel free to step up to the mics if there are questions. Product guys, pay attention because you're going to need to answer stuff. Questions? Anybody? Yes, sir. Yes. Yep, so the question was Angular. So we've been working on that. We've been speaking to the folks on the Angular side. We have plans. I think stay tuned, more to come there. So yeah, the graph question for the graph guys. We'll go here, and then there, and then we'll switch back. Everybody's leaving? Really? 5? I guess they're hungry. Okay, go.
What's going to be your release schedule or your roadmap for releasing to on-prem?
So a release schedule for on-prem. So there's a session about on-prem tomorrow or the next day. So that's really a question for the on-prem guys. I'll sort of explain the methodology. There's a team that delivers the on-prem. We get a date. We will look at what we have in the service. We will look at what makes sense from what we have in the service to move on-prem. Like things that are online services don't make sense on-prem. And so we will take a subset of that and stabilize it for on-prem. So I don't own the on-prem schedule. I will own what we put in it once I'm told when it's shipping.
Got it.
I'll go over here. Okay, perfect. A mic for these guys in case they need, right here. These guys right there that are not paying attention, those guys, yeah. Yes, sir.
Need to answer something.
You said that Feature Pack 2 contains support of SharePoint Framework 1.1, right?
Yes, the on-prem version today, yep.
Yeah, so if I already have the web part that uses 1.0 or 1.1, do I need to do some additional changes to it, or it will be okay in on-prem?
No, if you, as I said repeatedly, we are being very deliberate about sort of backwards compatibility. That's sort of, there's maybe a better word for it, but if you built the web part on 1.1, you're good. We will support it. The interesting thing is, if you build a web part on 1.3 or 1.5 at some future date, but your on-prem server is still 1.1, that won't work. But if you build for on-prem as your lowest common denominator, that will always work in the cloud.
Yeah, but if I already
Yeah,
built it,
yeah, we're good.
okay.
Yep, if you're on 1.1, you'll be with 1.1 functionality, but it'll work.
Okay.
Yep, we'll go here.
Can you say a few words either about rolling back to a previous version of an app, either programmatically or through the app catalog? Like, for whatever reason, a flawed version
Yep.
is out in production.
Luca or Vesa, do you guys, the management of rollback of something installed in the app catalog?
So it comes down to how you have deployed the CDN files. Usually we deploy with a hash, and every hash refers to a version of the package that you have deployed in your app catalog. So if you switch back to an older version of the app catalog, and if you still have the CDN files in the server, those will get loaded with whatever the manifest we have in that version you rolled back. So that's how we work. And if you want to come on my session on Friday, I'll actually show you what exactly happens there as well.
Friday at 12:30.
Yeah, 12:30.
Great.
Okay,
Guys.
oh, that one's empty. Over there, yes, sir.
I saw a bullet point about JS Link,
Yep.
which I use a lot of to load in stuff from my data services.
Then if you use JS Link a lot, then I would encourage you to go to Thursday morning's session with Luca and learn all about extensions.
Okay, that was my question.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. The Microsoft have any developed tool to identify how many customization we have?
Sorry,
The Microsoft have any tool to determine how many customization we have on the classic UI, so that we can determine how many customization on branded solution we have, and we will plan for migrate on the modern UI.
So I can answer that.
got
So
that?
through
I
the
didn't
SharePoint PMP, we do have tooling which will scan your existing form and will inform you how many user custom actions you have, where you have it, and all of that. Now, there is also third-party companies out there who have this kind of analyzing tooling available. So the PMP has simplistic tooling available from the PMP tools repository, and that contains that kind of scanning tooling.
So that tool will also give some statistics. This function is going to allow, or this functionality is not going to.
It doesn't do. It gives you an insight on what kind of customizations you have on your existing site collections. It does not give you a detailed analysis.
when is your PMP session?
PMP session is on Thursday morning. Now, our friends Rancor, they do have a tool which will give you actually the comparison. You had this in Farm Solution. This is what you can do in SPFX. So Rancor has a booth in Expo, and they're pretty close to us
There
in
you go.
the engineering.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go here, and then we'll come back over here.
I might have already fixed, you guys have already fixed this, but SVG vector file support.
Anybody?
I think file support. I think we announced like
currently
one.
not
We announced
rendering.
276
Yeah.
file types, but I don't know all of them off
It
the top of my
currently
head.
won't render SVG, but a lot of time that's the way our asset packages that are delivered. We have to convert them all the time.
I would suggest going down to the expo floor and let's talk to some of the folks that own the OneDrive and the libraries infrastructure and see what.
I mean, they support the upload. It's just the rendering. For
No, but they've announced 276 render types this morning. I don't know what. I haven't committed the list of memory. Yes, sir.
How about client-side applications?
How about them?
How about them?
How about client-side applications? I believe in them. I believe they exist. No. So, for those who don't understand the question, if you saw the publishing pages that I showed, if you saw the admin center that I showed, those are full-blown pages, a full-blown app built on top of our framework, right? We build our stuff as an app on our framework. Today, we've only exposed our framework for web parts and extensions. We built a framework that can support apps, clearly, because we're doing it. We've been a little bit, I'm not going to say coy, but a little bit shy about going all the way with custom portals and so on just yet. I think we're going to get there.
You don't have to be so shy.
Hey, I'm seldom accused of being shy, so when I am, it's kind of, touchy. I believe we will eventually get there, in all sincerity. We know it works because we do it ourselves. We're not quite ready to figure out, or we haven't figured out how much custom portal, how it's going to match with the stuff we ship. We were only just in the early days of shipping our own stuff around comm sites and hubs and so on. So having exposed, imagine if we had said, go build your own custom portals, and then we show up with hubs and comm sites. We don't know how that would have meshed together. So we're sort of taking a step back, let everything settle. We understand the problem. We know how to do it. We're just not sure quite how to fix the two together. Is that a non-answer? Perfect. Yes, sir.
So with extensions, how do you connect to maybe some custom web APIs that you've made?
Thursday, 12:30.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in the session.
That is a good big chunk of his session. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. One of the, I guess, more common scenarios we have in our SharePoint custom applications are connecting to SQL Server databases, to bring back content and interact with content in that manner. And I'm wondering if these new APIs that you just added to SPFX would be now considered the way to address that.
The short answer is yes. The long answer is this new API, it's more just like for the new word, which is all web APIs. So it's a protocol conversation. If you are able to expose your data through a web API, absolutely. If you are going with the standards T-SQL and SQL Server kind of protocol that doesn't work very well in internet and internet.
Standard .NET custom web services.
Let's talk about that on Thursday, but you should be able, web API is the way to go. Let's put it this way.
Okay. Here, and then, oh, sorry. I didn't see it. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is related to deploying the files to the CDN.
Yep.
So I have a SharePoint framework web part which uses the Fabric React components. And when the CDN was public, I didn't have any issue, but they had to make it private. How do I access the files from a private?
So yours is a very specific, you're having problem with configuring the private CDN on upload?
If I jump on this one. So technically right now, the private CDN we do not support private CDN usage with SharePoint Framework for the time being, because the private CDN actually has a unique URL, which is updating all the time. So you can't point to that URL dynamically.
Coming soon.
Okay, coming soon. He's my manager, so if he's saying that it's coming soon, we'll fix it, so no doubt. But for the time being, it's not, due to the URL being flipped all the time, you can't actually make it work. So only public CDN is available for SharePoint Framework now.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Good clarification. Thank you. So undo what I said 12 minutes ago. No. Yes, and then we'll come here.
Yeah, just a simple question. We are building web parts right now with a list, with the XML view web part, just putting a tag in there with a user custom action. We put the JS link, the JS on the side, and then we are searching for the tag and putting in our web part. You told us that we can store with SPFX settings globally, and we are saving settings on a per web part basis with the part storage property. Is there something similar with SPFX?
Chucks, do you know much about how
the tenant properties are not to be confused with the web part properties. We have web part properties with the web part framework in the SharePoint, and you can use that, and you can basically push properties into the web part property bag.
Okay.
The tenant properties are for some of the properties you would want to use across your tenant.
Sure.
In the case of extension, say you have a Google Analytics key, or in the case of web part, maybe there is a GitHub URL that everybody wants to go, or things like that. You could put those in a property bag in the tenant and have it common across all the web parts.
Okay.
If you want it very specific to that instance of the web part that people configure, then you have to use the web part property bag for that.
Okay, it's unlimited. So
yeah, it's there in the framework, and you can access it today.
Okay,
great.
Thank you, Chuck. Yes, sir.
Hi. Any plans to backport SPFX to SP 2013?
SPFX on 2013? I would encourage you to upgrade.
You can't do an in-place upgrade, so it's plan to do an in-place upgrade?
I mean, in all honesty, we have no plans. We have no intention to go there. We're being very deliberate about making sure that we keep on-prem and the cloud moving forward, but we're always encouraging you to get on-prem to the latest bids, right? We're not going to be able to keep back compat to previous versions very far back. So no, 2013 SPFX is not a thing.
So how do I handle a functionality that runs behind the scenes, like something that happens on a list event? I don't have the UI for it. I want that piece of code or the functionality or the business logic to run every time a new list item is added or something like that.
So it's not, I would say it's probably not an SPFX question at that point, and I would start looking at Flow and some of the other tools that let you build, workflows that trigger when things are happening behind the scenes, not necessarily SPFX, which is typically going to be running on your page when the page is loaded when someone's doing something.
So can I put it in a SharePoint framework extension and run it on the master page?
Well, the notion of a master page doesn't exist in a modern page.
I mean, but the SharePoint framework extension runs on all the pages, right?
Yes.
So can I put it in the framework extension with no UI?
Yes.
Okay.
You can have an extension without UI, right? Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
Webhook, yes, okay, there you go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we primarily use SharePoint 2013, but looking to the future for 2016, so our app catalogs are scoped web app level. And
Yep.
so you're talking about tenant properties and things like that, where you have the magic checkbox to deploy across an organization. When looking towards on-prem in the future for the framework and everything being installed on 2016, are all those pieces going to be web app scope, or are they going to be tenant scope?
Tenant-wide deployment right now is not a feature that we shipped in 2016 feature pack 2. As Dan was describing before in the session, we basically took the functionalities that we provided in the general availability version of the SharePoint framework, and we shipped that functionalities in on-prem feature pack 2 2016.
Yeah, I would just say, so what we ship on-prem is always a point in time.
Yeah.
So what is there now, we can talk about. What will be on-prem in the future, I don't know, because it depends at what point in time we make that decision.
Okay.
Right, so yes, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir, and then we're done.
Hold on.
Mike, please.
The SharePoint 2019 is coming?
It is. We announced it today.
Yes, so they've announced on-prem 2019. So there will be a lot more SPFX and developer things in that. I just don't know which ones, because it depends what day we make the cutoff.
So the
Okay.
feature and capabilities also announced. What are the capabilities is releasing with the...
Sorry, what was the question?
No, he's saying something.
We didn't announce which functionality we will provide in 2019. We only announced that we will ship a 2019 version.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank
So the things that I said are coming soon to the cloud. We made no statement about what will be in 2019, although some of it will be in 2019. Okay, thank you, everybody.